is Rest in Republic. Rest in Republic. This is Rest in Republic.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's your boy Shad Talks Graps, and I'm here with my panel with me to the right, and we are back. It's Monday. It's not Mailbag Monday. It's a little different. We're going to be talking about news in professional wrestling because we got a pretty jam-packed week, man. There's a lot going on. We'll touch more base on that on the end topic, but let me go ahead and introduce the crew today. First and foremost, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Coby Galenzoski. How are you doing, bro?
Doing very, very well. Of course, this is a WR Daily it's a Monday that I'm shockingly able to do for the first time in a long time. And of course, it's a pleasure to be here with you. And of course, our other guest, which I'll let you introduce him. But of course, it's a grand old time to be here. What a week in professional wrestling it is, with go-home shows, with the CW debut, with a 5-year anniversary for Dynamite, Bad Blood. There's almost everything for the next 6 days. It's great to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely agree with you on that. It's definitely a lot to go on. And, man, we're going to be talking about it all this week, too. We got review shows for every one of those shows that you was talking about as well. So definitely tune into that. Last but not least, we got my dog, host of the Soul Sessions podcast. Soul, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Still taking the suit off for a wee bit more. Still doing shows in my pajamas is actually a real blast for me. But then again, Shad, you probably have the best shirt going on this entire show. So, I mean, I got to respect the shirt you're wearing, my friend.
Oh, yeah, you know what it is, man. I definitely got to rock Karashita, man. I had to buy this from the shop last week, man. It was definitely a must purchase. The ace of AEW, my probably favorite AEW women's superstar too, next to like Willow. So definitely got to support her, man. And AEW makes some pretty sick shirts, man. I gotta give them credit. But we're gonna start off, man, because y'all see the headline. It's not about AEW. It's about WWE, and it has to do with our current champion, Mr. Cody Rhodes. The question that was asked upon a viewer this past week and broke down very eloquently by our boy Josh Markowitz is that, do you think Cody Rhodes would be better as a heel? And this is an interesting topic and an interesting question. For me, Cody's a good heel. Cody's a really good heel. Cody was a really good heel in his first time in WWE. And a lot of people kind of was hoping that he would turn heel in his tenure in AEW just because his personality kind of mirrors heel tendencies, the aesthetic of it and whatnot. And I'm on the record saying I think Cody Rhodes is going to go heel at some point. It may not be right now, but I think it's going to be at some point because the guy he's attached to the hip, Mr. Roman Reigns, is one of the most over superstars and is going to be coveted as a babyface. So in my mind, I feel like the roles are going to reverse in this storyline. I feel like Cody will eventually go heel while Roman is going to be a babyface. But at the current time frame, I don't know if you would make him a heel just because he's still super over. The kids love him. You know, he's doing everything it may be. But, you know, there's always that comparison. We all are fans of the show, The Boys, where he's got a little bit of Homelander in him. So I'm going to open the panel. I'm going to ask you first, Kobe. What do you think? Do you think Cody would be better off as a heel?
Sorry, I just had to get a quick cough. And of course, before I start, how about you let me say hello to our good friend Bobby Batito in the comments. What is up, Bobby? Regardless, would Cody Rhodes be a better heel? I think if that's the question, I don't know if he would, because I don't know what kind of heel he could be. I don't know if he's going to be a similar heel to Roman Reigns, where he is just that much of a needle mover. He is the star of the company. He is that cool that you're still going to cheer for him despite being the tribal chief like Roman was. the question is I do believe Cody Rhodes can succeed as a heel. I do believe he has it in him, and I do believe it'll work. But if I'm going down to the roots of the question is of would Cody Rhodes be a better heel than a face, I don't think he does. We look at someone like John Cena who had that ability to connect with the younger audience, who he had those strong connections. We can say the same thing about Hulk Hogan, but even Hulk Hogan turned heel. John Cena never did. So I don't know if I would put him more towards John Cena or more towards Hulk Hogan. To me, I think Cody Rhodes, if I'm using an analogy, he is more like a John Cena. He is someone who probably can go heel and probably will work, but I don't think he succeeds as much as he is now in this face run as the guy who has to finish his story. He's one of the most loved guys in the wrestling business right now, and it took him leaving AEW, a company he created, for that to happen.
I get it. I do feel like Cena started off as a heel though, with the Doctor of Thugonomics initially.
He did, but
in a sense.
he did, but
no,
that also where he didn't. That's not where he found his most success.
I totally agree with you on that. We got a good comment right here from Anthony Manzano saying, "If I'm a Cody Roach fan, that's crazy. But I'm a Cody fan. It feels odd cheering for this American Nightmare persona. It's supposed to be arrogant heel, not a fan favorite, unless you make it similar to Stone Cold Steve Austin."
Well, he's not. He's not similar to Austin.
It's a very different. Austin,
he's not fighting the man.
And Austin's he's got the badass persona, right? Like he's just so cool that you root for him regardless. Like he doesn't really. Austin was not really a face or a heel in the sense he's just Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I feel like Roman is kind of in a way going to end up being like I would compare Austin to Roman a little bit more if you're talking about that, just off of the factor of that character. We also got another comment, the cool factor. What if Cody Rhodes goes back to heel that he was doing during his first WWE run? He's grown so much since that. That character.
You're not going to get so undashing different. Cody Rhodes unless his face breaks again. And he has to bring that whole gimmick and character back. But
yeah, it would have to be a different iteration of what he has been doing. We also got a comment on the Instagram from Wrestling Club Elite. Shout outs to you. Cody was a great heel outside of the WWE. I mean, yeah, a lot of the TNA stuff that he did, that was pretty good. Like he's able. The thing is this: Cody's talented to make it work. I guess it's really just a factor of you think it's better or not. But it's hard for me to say it would be better because I think this babyface Cody Rhodes that we got last year is like one of the peak baby faces that I've seen in pro wrestling in a while, just tied to everything, as a cohesive unit with the storyline and everything. It's hard to really say it could be better. He would really have to do a lot of reinventing itself, but we would, it's an interesting one. I'm interested what you got to say though. So obviously, being a big AEW fan and following a lot of what Cody did during his tenure there, because a lot of that is like when you started watching pro wrestling to seeing what he's doing in the WWE. Do you think that he could be a better heel than he is a babyface?
Oh, absolutely, of course. If you harken back to Cody's last few months in AEW, he was showing such heel tendencies that I was like, I want to see where this goes. I want to see Cody as a heel because I think it would be the most entertaining thing because I'm pretty sure, if my mind corrects me, when Cody was showing heel tendencies in his last few months of AEW, like literally The Boys had just started on Amazon Prime, I believe. And that's such correlation to how he looked in Homeland and everything was just so funny, but it was the best way. Like I remember that promo he cut. I think it was one of his second last one where he was teasing the ladder match with Sammy Guevara for the Unified TNT Championship. Saying stuff about how Punk came back and all that, and how he's been changing names to, Gunther McGillicuddy obviously referencing the Gunther stuff. Like he's good at that. Like I remember there's a thing from when Cody left, you know, there was a bit in Impact Wrestling where he interrupts a match, I think, between his wife Brandy and a female wrestler, and he's like, you know, I'm going to give you $20. It's 10 more that they would have given you here in Impact Management, and everybody was like, boo. Even his time at Ring of Honor, he was a great heel. Bullet Club, he has that absolute capacity, but I think what really determines it is two things. It's, you know, what he wants to do, of course, and two, what the environment needs. Now, I don't think I've had the belief that Cody didn't turn heel in AEW because obviously now we know he was planning to leave, but I think he kind of emulates his father as, you know, that lovable baby face, and everyone wants to be like their dad, right? It's just something I believed. Maybe it's absolutely wrong, but it's just something I've had always a belief of why he never turned heel in AEW and why I don't think he will in WWE. But I mentioned that second point, the environment. Cody as a babyface is absolutely stunning because he sells so much merch, he sells so much tickets, he is the poster child for that company now taking off Roman Reigns. And why would you change something that A, prints money and is proven to work? You know, Cody as a babyface speaks well to kids and young teens as well, and even some adults as well. Like I go back to the Clash of the Castle stuff. Like families were buying Cody weight belts unsigned. Like I think they were signed for 150 quid and just giving to their kids. There was kids dressed up as Cody, and it speaks to that caliber of connection he has. And I don't see WWE wanting to really ruin a good thing. Now, you know, if he stays for another 5 years, you know, landscape changes. Could a face Trick Williams versus a heel Cody Rhodes main event at WrestleMania? Absolutely. You could easily do it. It's a jealousy thing of his family name, feel like it's not being respected. Kind of like what Bloodline is now, but it could be a different interpretation when Cody does it. So I think Cody as a heel would be an absolute phenomenal success, but it depends on if the environment he's in needs it.
And I think you hit it right on the dot with that. It definitely depends on the environment and if he's getting stale as a babyface, because that's when you need to kind of reshuffle the deck when stuff gets stale. And like you said, currently he's not stale. He's one of the hottest commodities in professional wrestling and in WWE. We got a comment from the homie I Make Beats. I only just jumped in here, guys. What's up? I like Cody, but he would be a lot cooler as a heel. Depth for the character, but I don't know about in ring. I'm just used to the same old shtick. And then he said, corporate Cody does work. That's the thing. I think a lot of people associate that it could be interesting because he does have that, you know, corporate look coming in with the suits and all of that. Like he can probably flip the script pretty easily, but it's kind of a wait and see type of situation. And thank you, Bobby. He likes the Hikaru Shida shirt. Thank you, sir. It's definitely going to be a situation we'll have to wait and see. And like I said, the reason I could possibly see it happen is if they do go back to him and Roman. And it really depends if the crowd, like if the fans are 100% on Roman and not feeling Cody, then that might be the sense where you might have to audible. But I don't think they're going to go to that anytime soon just yet, just because we got the entire bloodline to deal with Roman, and then we still got the final boss and all that. So it may be a little bit time before we get to that. But let's get to our next topic, and this one is something near dear to my heart because we got NXT moving to the CW tomorrow, new channel, embarking a new chapter for the brand. And Shawn Michaels had an interview yesterday, and he, you know, put a little bit of a interesting quote there where he said he believes that we're going to get some more surprises, and a lot of that is going to tie towards this super stack women's division, but also the men's division. And as they, you know, they've not been shy with signing free agents as of late. You know, we've got Julia, Stephanie Vaquer into the women's division. We got Ethan Page, who's our new world champion. We got Sean Spears. You know, they've picked up a lot of people on top of a lot of the young wrestlers that they get from the PC. But I'm curious to see. He says he's got some more tricks up his sleeves and surprises. I'm gonna open the floor for you, Kobe, on this topic. What do you think Sean's talking about? Do you see some more wrestlers coming in? Do you think a new title? What's your mind thinking on this?
And I mean, the one thing I don't think you mentioned was the fact that it is Chef Shawn Michaels. He is the booker. He's the man in the kitchen. He's cooking up dishes. He's cooking up good storylines and good surprises for us all. And I think that's the interesting part is he said there are surprises to come, and he also touted his women's division being stacked and being highly talented, which is very hard to disagree with. But what more can there be? What more can he bring in? What more can he add? And I think it's just the fact that NXT is still a place to be. And we kind of moved. There was about a year and a half where they kind of moved away from signing the independent guys, and they were bringing in the people who were D1 athletes who could come in, and they, if they had a passion and they wanted to make this work, they could be here and become a wrestler. And I think now that we're almost circled back to, okay, we're going to bring in people who know what they're doing in the ring and have worldly experience, like Stephanie, like Julia, like Sean Spears, who was in NXT many, many years ago and has returned to the company. You got Ethan Page, who spent several years in AEW. You got a wealth of talent, and I think there's still a lot more to come. And I don't want to name names, but there are people who are inactive. There are people who have said they are kind of leaving their country and going to uncharted territories. There are so many names that they can sit there and go, yeah, they can spice things up a little bit. And of course, if I'm using the cooking analogy, that's exactly what a chef needs to do, is he needs to put the right amount of spices in the dish, in the division, however you want to view it.
Yeah, and I can't also forget to mention that they're cooking with another brand too in TNA, which has been very beneficial for them. And it's interesting. It feels like NXT is in a very fun place right now. They're a lot of the roster, like the roster looks like they're having a blast. And that goes from the people that you mentioned, the vets that they have now, as well as a lot of these young guys and girls. And I mean, me and Drizzy always, flaunt how great the women's division is, but it's very, very stacked. And, those two women that we mentioned being added to it is kind of crazy to me still to think. So it's definitely going to be fun to see what other tricks they got up their sleeves. Speaking of tricks, we got Trick Williams and Ethan Page tomorrow too. So that's going to be interesting. We got a lot of comments in here. DC Warlord saying, believe heel Joe Hendry. Okay. That'd be crazy if he goes heel on NXT. I make beats. Yeah, I got a lot more into NXT the last few months. We got DC Warlord also saying, if we see Josh Alexander help Ethan Page retain, he would pass out. Hey man, the North was a thing, and he is in TNA. Anything is possible right now with that partnership. Bobby Petito saying, I'm thinking he would be nice to Shawn Michaels, bringing in wrestlers that wrestle at Progress Wrestling, like Darice, Rio, Kid Lycos, Nina Samuels. I mean, hey man, I think man like Darice would absolutely flourish on any brand out in the States, whether it be NXT, whether it be AEW, whether it be TNA. I think y'all could probably attest to that too.
No, I mean, absolutely. The one thing I kind of fear is the fact that we would instantly get, oh, is this WWE's attempt at battling and Max Caster? Or you're going to get those comparisons from the IWC of where they lined that up, because we saw it with Street Profits and Private Party. There's so many names that we're going to sit here and say it's been said before. Yeah, but he has that talent, and that would be my only fear. Seeing man like Private Party is so different to me
too. Those two are so different to me.
Has been given.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I guess I can see
it's
similarity.
It
definitely is trash. We got Make Beats also saying got mad respect for Spears, training future talent, and I can't say that word. He gets it. And then we know Nina Samuels was in NXT UK. If you haven't already, peep the interview with her and Ben and Megan on the Sunday Spotlight, because she's definitely a big time star. No problem, bro. Don't worry about it. I should have. That's on me. I should have. I didn't read the last word on it, but I mean, it's all good. We curse here and there, but what we also do is talk about our great sponsors here, and that is our not that one. Sorry. Our good friends at Next Level. If you go to the URL below at nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic, you'll be able to see all of our content across all platforms linked in one place. It is the one-stop shop to find everything Wrestling Republic. That is this YouTube page. That is this Instagram. That is our website, our X, TikTok, all of it. Super easy. They also have an app. Download that on the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, and you'll also be able to access it easily in a one-stop shop, but also being able to communicate and work with other wrestling content creators. They got a great community over there. And the best thing about them is like they really like to just give y'all free stuff. Always running contests. They're able to send someone out to WrestleMania. You know, they're giving out WWE cash on the shop. They're giving out the WWE 2K games. They're doing some great stuff. So definitely keep supporting them and keep supporting us as we continue this show. And I know my buddy Soul wants to dive into the great company called All Elite Wrestling, because we had a question yesterday on our poll on the Wrestling Republic Instagram. Follow that, by the way. About obviously last week we saw Mr. MVP come out there handing out cards. I believe it said Hurt Syndicate on it. And that can only have us think about one, Mr. Bobby Lashley. And the question was, do you want to see Bobby Lashley go to AEW? I believe the numbers were leaning towards a yes. I think it was a 59% yes, 41% no. And me personally, if you haven't seen our post, I had a comment saying, absolutely. Why not? AEW is where the best wrestle, and Bobby Lashley is one of the best wrestlers I've seen in my life. Just as a fan, as a wrestling fan, I think it can only benefit them. He's a superstar, and this is a company that is good in the men's division. But why not get better? I don't think you can never have more. More the merrier is the best. I know that there's this whole notion where bloated rosters. That, in my opinion, could be true. But if you can improve, you improve. If you're a football team, why not get the better wide receiver? Why not get the better linebacker? That's just my opinion. But so you, as a big time AEW fan, and good buddy of Tony Khan, from what I heard y'all got the same seamstress for y'all suits. What do you think? Do you want to see them add Bobby Lashley to the roster?
Oh boy. Bobby's a weird one for me, because when I first got into wrestling, Lashley was actually one of the first wrestlers I saw on weekly television. And it only was because it was him kissing Lana while Baron Corbin and Randy Orton cringed in the corner. And then more stuff happened to Bobby Lashley I never really was interested in. Obviously, MVP returned to the company and started the Hurt business. And from him dropping the title to Big E, it was like the saddest slow death of a man's career, because he had those terrible matchups with Lashley. He then lost his title by never entering the Elimination Chamber. He, didn't get on WrestleMania 39. I don't even know. He was at 40 with the street fight against the Last Testament. So I think it's a good change for him. But if you had to ask me, I think MVP would be more of a benefit to AEW than Lashley. Generally, just because MVP is an amazing talker. He's a very, very phenomenal talker. And there's a lot of young, hungry talent that, while talented in the ring, don't have their voice yet. And they can get that absolutely soon enough with development from somebody as great of a stature as MVP. But if you had to ask me what to do with Lashley's coming in, right? People are saying it's going to be Hurt Business 3.0 because obviously Hurt Business was done in Impact before it was done in WWE. So it's technically the third version of this conglomeration group. I would have them in the trios because that's a division that really needs boosting, as well as the tag. So if the rumors are around there, Shelton Benjamin's a free agent. You get Bobby Lashley and Shelton in the tag division. Do that, but you can have a showcase match first. Obviously, Swerve's hinted to be in this. Bobby Lashley versus Swerve would be interesting. Then you could have Shelton come in and attack Swerve, and that forms this business organization. But ideally, it'd be a 3-person group. Now, I don't think Swerve should join this group. I think it's something that Swerve should fight. With who at his side? Maybe an FTR type or something like that, or an Outrunners. Maybe have Swerve as a face. That's something that maybe you could do. But ideally, I would like this, Hurt Syndicate, Hurt Business 3.0 to be MVP as the talker and the manager, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, those three would be an exceptional team. And as trios champions, I think they could really elevate those belts and make them, really a standout performance. And think about it as well. Bobby, Shelton, and Hobbs versus Pac, Claudio, and Yuta. And you can have Yuta, cost to BCC it as his way of defiance. And you get a feud either from Pac and Yuta or Claudio and Yuta. And then you let this new Hurt Syndicate run the trios division. You could get stuff out of this. But I'm telling you right now, Bobby Lashley, while as great of a star he is, he will not become AEW World Champion. I'm going to say that here right now. Talented, yes, but he is not needed for that title. You put him in the role that best fits his needs. Like what I said about Cody as a heel, you will fit the role the environment needs. And right now, AEW's environment needs tag and trios division.
Okay, I get it. I guess my thing is this. I don't think he is going to get the world championship out the gate. And honestly, who is going to get the world? Like, I feel like there's a lot of guys that are kind of sitting in the line that are due for a world championship. Obviously, Will Ospreay is someone who is big time, right? You got other people like
Darby.
Pac, Darby. I think Darby deserves that. I think that's going to be
you know who I want to be the next AEW World Champion? Christian Cage.
He's got that.
He's got the cash in.
Look, I want Brian to beat Mox, right? And then I want the heart-crushing defeat of Christian Cage walking out, strolling like the hip dad returning with the milk from the store, just cashes in the contract, becomes AEW World Champion, and just goes on a, tirade of patriarchiness. Christian Cage has been AEW's best signing. He's literally has been one of their best signings of all time.
Ooh.
From Punk to even Omega to even Adam Copeland to Saraya to everyone on that roster, Christian Cage has been one of the best additions to that team. Christian Cage for AEW Champ 2024. Make it happen, DK.
I don't disagree with you on that in a sense. I think it's between him and Swerve. I think those are the two best signings. And they were kind of, what's the beauty of it? They weren't looked as big time signings. People actually were like, oh, whatever. And how they've panned out, it's been remarkable. But the idea of the Hurt Syndicate is going to be interesting. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say they overhyped Christian, and everyone saw the fact that it was Christian Cage and was like, "Oh, well, this isn't one of the best wrestlers in the world." People already turned a blind eye to the fact that they almost overhyped him as a signing. Yeah. Swerve got his contract on a pay-per-view similar to Christian Cage, but Christian Cage already had a bar. And everyone said, no, he's under it already. He already limboed under it because he's Christian Cage. But he's undoubtedly proved it. You hit the resume of work shows
this is a guy.
Well, he's older. He does deserve it.
This is a guy who came out on pay-per-view with children singing his theme as a choir and then goes around saying everybody's dad's dead. and he's like the most over guy in all of wrestling. Like that's amazing to me. I love that so much. Like
Yeah.
I look genuinely, if we go on AEW WWE crossover show, Cody Rhodes versus Christian Cage, just for the promo.
You picking evil. Let's get some comments though, because a
I
lot of
mean,
people,
hey, I mean, you could do the same thing for Roman,
a
too.
lot of
And
Oh
that's
my
recent.
god, he
a
That's
does
lot of
it.
recent.
a lot of
Oh,
people are definitely liking this topic because Amik Beat says Lashley is a certified main Carter. Get that man on the scene stat. I think he definitely is a guy, and the idea of him and Swerve as a feud is something that has my interest for sure. Bobby saying I would like to see Bobby Lashley go to AEW. I'll be interested to see him against Swerve Strickland and other wrestlers. MVP versus Don Callis, manager versus manager. That's gonna
nah.
be
I mean,
that's
MVP versus
I'd be
Dana.
just interested to see if they do a little stare down for tongue in cheek between Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley. Be like,
yeah.
hey, we're gonna redo this.
This is Bobby is saying, what about adding the Judge, EJ, and Duca with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin and MVP? I don't mind that. I think there's a ton of guys that could benefit being in the Hurt Syndicate. I think Lee Johnson could benefit being in the Hurt Syndicate just because I think he's such a good wrestler and I don't get to see him a lot.
Wow,
He,
EJ and Lee are kind of in a
they're
pairing for
both,
Ring of
yeah.
Honor.
You could add both of them. You could add both of them. That's a good way to get them up there, but it really depends. And then I definitely agree with this. Shelton Benjamin would be a great addition. I'm hoping for this faction, but not getting his hopes up. We'll have to wait and see. This is a good one too, though. I ain't gonna lie. Kenny King, that kind of be crazy. That kind of would be crazy. But let's get to our last topic for the day because we mentioned at the start of the show there is a lot happening in professional wrestling this week. Tonight, we got Monday Night Raw, of course. It's the go home Raw before we go to Bad Blood. We also have a big time monster versus monster match Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman. Tomorrow, as we mentioned, NXT's first show on the CW network in Chicago in an arena. We got Trick Williams versus Ethan Page. We got Wesley versus Zach Wentz in a street fight to blow off their feud, possibly or not. We got Julia versus Roxanne Perez, which is going to be crazy. Wednesday, we got the 5th year anniversary of AEW Dynamite. Where does time go? I was at the first Dynamite in Washington, D.C. that aired, and it's been 5 years. Time goes by entirely too fast. But that card is absolutely bananas as well. We got Will Ospreay and Ricochet after all these years going against each other. We got Britt Baker making her return since the pay-per-view. So that's a stacked card as well. There's a lot on that card as well. And then we also got the homies at Progress with a big card working with Defy, working with Pro Wrestling Noah. I think it was Luke Jacobs versus Timothy
Tim
Thatcher.
Thatcher.
That's going to be insane. So there's a lot going on. Of course, SmackDown as well. And then Bad Blood on Saturday. The card is crazy too. We got Roman and Cody teaming with each other. We got Punk versus Drew. There is so much happening this week. And then, like I said, we are covering it all on WR. But I'm going to open the floor for y'all because I want to know, what are you most excited for? I will go last on this, but I will open it for y'all first. We are going to go to you first. So what are you most excited for this week?
Gee, I wonder what. Oh, it's of course it's the 5th anniversary of AEW Dynamite, baby. Wow. It's kind of insane that AEW in 5 years has gone through, some things that companies go through within a 10-year or 20-year span period. And they've done it in 5. It's also interesting that the company is not the same as it was. It has always constantly changed. Every year of AEW, I feel like, has its own identity, whether it's either its roster, its presentation, or its storylines. And for the 5th anniversary, it's got big feel of it. Obviously, with Osprey and Ricochet, two individuals that really cemented the current landscape of professional wrestling with their matchup at Battle of the Super Juniors. You've got Britt and Serena Deeb. Obviously, Britt an OG, Deeb someone who's really influential within the pandemic era. Obviously, she came over when she was NWA Women's Champion, and then ended up signing with AEW. You've got Juice Robinson and Hangman Page. Hangman Page and OG. Juice was somebody that debuted, I think, when the company just came out of the pandemic as well, because I remember he showed up before Jay White for quite a while. Yeah, it's just insane, man. And obviously they've been on TNT this whole time and grown. They've obviously added Rampage. They then added Collision. They have obviously Battle of the Belts. They have all the specials they did during that time, whether it was Fyre Fest, Winter is Coming. God, it's just absolutely insane. I mean, I kind of would love it in tradition, just like the day before TK announces on Twitter, on AEW Dynamite 5th anniversary, TK will have a special announcement just for the good old times, just to get that old special feeling of, oh, TK is going to say something. I wonder what he's going to say. And then it's just like we're going to promote our new merch or something like that, just something silly. But I actually genuinely would love TK to just be like, yeah, I'm going to announce something on the 5th anniversary for old time's sake.
I like it. Man, I'm so excited for it, man. The first Dynamite was like the first wrestling show I went to in years, like since I was a child. My buddy, shout out to my boy AJ, he got free tickets to it. He's like, yo, you trying to go to this? I was like, sure. I didn't know much of it. And then that's when I became an AEW fan. I've been watching it ever since then.
AEW was the first ever wrestling show I ever went to, and that was a dark taping at Universal Studios in Florida.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then I went to my first ever TV taping, which was Rampage, and then first ever pay-per-view, which was Revolution 2022.
Oh yeah, let's not also forget this is going to be the last 3 hours. Shout outs to Megan, Queen of Wrestling Republics, letting us know that as well. Kobe, I ask you, what are you most excited for this week in pro wrestling?
I mean, outside of Bad Blood, and I mean, I want to make this interesting, and I'm not going to say something from Bad Blood, but I want to say the fact that SmackDown feels like a must-see show. Yes, we have Raw tonight, which is a go-home show. Yes, we have NXT on the CW, which is loaded. We have Monster vs. Monster, which I'm expecting a ring break. I don't know anyone who knows what's happening in Two Monsters and someone. I don't know anyone who's not expecting a ring break for that main event, for that Monster vs. Monster match. But regardless, if I'm looking at SmackDown, I am seeing what people would have said years ago as a tag team dream match. The Street Profits DIY, and while the former Gorillas of Destiny, now just a part of the bloodline, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, years ago, these are people who I can sit here and say, well, that's a dream tag match. This is a triple threat ladder match. I don't want to say this is the modern day TLC match between ENC, the Hardys, and the Dudleys, but it's damn close. It's going to be 3 tag teams of this generation in a ladder match. I'm very excited for that. The fact we're getting AJ Styles returning, we're getting a dumpster match, and I do think it's the first ever female dumpster match of all time. Might be wrong, might be correct. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that a lot of tensions are rising, and SmackDown feels very must-see this week, along with NXT. The 5-year anniversary, there's some stuff there too. But it, like you said, there's a lot of wrestling going on this week, and it's just a brilliant time to be a wrestling fan. And I'm excited to see how good of a show SmackDown is, because it's a 2-hour SmackDown. You can't load it up too much, but there's got to be a lot of high quality stuff with what they've already advertised in the ladder match, AJ Styles returning, a dumpster match, and I think there was one other one I actually forget. But there's a lot of stuff, and it just seems like that might be the must-see show of the week outside of NXT.
Wow, that you threw a curveball there. I didn't even think about that. I totally forgot that we're having that ladder match for the tag team titles. That's definitely going to be a fun match. All right. Now, first and foremost, shout outs to I Make Beats saying that he's stoked for Bad Blood purely off of nostalgia and Hell in the Cell not being a pay-per-view. Bad Blood is great. Bad Blood.
Shad, I wonder what you're excited for. It must be something on Tuesday.
Mute that young man. Bad Blood is a great card, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see them in the A. Atlanta is an incredible place. That main event's going to be interesting. Blow off match between Punk and Drew. You know, Jade and Bianca hosting. Always love seeing them. But I gotta go with NXT. Yes, Tuesday is what I'm most excited for because NXT is debuting on CW, but they got themselves a pay-per-view-esque match. We are in the arena, and Trick Williams, Ethan Page, with CM Punk being the special guest referee. I'm excited to see how that goes. I'm excited to see if Drew McIntyre pops up. I'm excited to see possibly, like they were saying, Josh Alexander. I'm also excited to see Trick Williams getting another monumental moment and getting back his title, whatever the result may be. That has my attention. Wesley versus Zach Wentz. These guys have told a wonderful story as two brothers and them having a street fight. Man, the intrigue of it has me just so hyped for it. But Roxanne Perez versus Julia is going to be a clinic for professional wrestling in NXT, where women's wrestling is alive and thriving and is the pulse and heartbeat. Goodness gracious, these two women, two of the best in the entire world. Roxanne Perez, who has been the best women's wrestler this year, that is going to be a phenomenal match. You also add the potential that we saw last week with Stephanie Vaquer coming out there as incredible of a talent she is. It's got my interest. So I'm definitely going with NXT. But man, I like it all, man. I'm excited to see Ricochet versus Ospreay. I'm excited to see that ladder match. I'm excited to see Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. I'm excited for Bad Blood. I'm excited for Progress. I'm excited for pro wrestling. And like I said, you can catch all of that on the Wrestling Republic YouTube page. You can check it on the IG, Twitter, all of that. We are covering everything this week. And that is all the time that we have for today's episode. Monster shout out to my boys, Kobe and Soul, and to all of y'all
I'm
in
ready
the
for bed. My
comments.
pajamas are on. I'm ready to hit the hay.
Hey, man,
Night-night.
get a good night's rest. That's all the time we got. Y'all take care. We'll be back the same time tomorrow. In the words of Jay Uso, deuces, deuces.